Hello, everybody. This is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and we're back with another of our 5-minute Histories videos. And today we're in Druid Hill Park at pool number 2, and I am very excited because not only are we at this great historic place, but I found a little gadget for my daughter's iPhone that allows us to plug in not one lapel mic, but 2. And I'm here with my friend, Kate Drabinski, Professor Drabinski of UMBC. And before we talk about pool number 2, I want to turn it over to Kate to talk about a partnership that we have with UMBC's public history programs. If you're wondering how we get all the information for these videos, a lot of it is through this partnership, and a lot of it through the hard work of UMBC students that do research all semester long for a program we have called Explore Baltimore Heritage. But before I go into that, in pool number 2, let me turn it over to Kate.
Hi, I'm really excited to be here today to talk about UMBC's partnership with Baltimore Heritage. Starting in the early 2010s, Dr. Denise Maringolo of the Public History Program worked with her graduate students to tell the stories of Baltimore. Students were tasked with going out. The first neighborhood they worked on was Lauraville. They also have done stories about Druid Hill Park, about Oella through a partnership with the Patapsco Heritage Area, and a number of other neighborhoods in the city. Students do archival research and some research using photography, and produce research reports and share them with the staff at Baltimore Heritage. Baltimore Heritage takes that research and tells us little tiny stories to help us understand what we're seeing when we're walking around the city. I remember the first time I stumbled across pool number 2, it was purely by accident, and I wasn't sure what I was seeing, but I knew it was important. And it was through the research of UMBC students and others that I came to understand what was happening here, both historically and in the present. These stories are so important. And when I'm walking around or riding my bike around or giving tours to UMBC students, what I'm trying to do with myself and with the rest of us is to think critically about our built environment. What made it look like this? Where did it come from? Who lived here? Dr. Maringolo talks about the importance of not telling the story just of historic structures, but the stories of the people who lived here, who built these areas, who fought over their meaning and continue to do so. And now, when I'm wandering, if I see something and I don't know what it is, I like to pull out my cell phone and pull out the Baltimore Heritage app, and I can use the map there to pull up a story about wherever I am. This partnership is continuing with UMBC, and Dr. Maringolo is considering bringing this research program and project into her undergraduate classrooms as well. And I'm really excited that this partnership has helped all of us learn not only how important it is to think about the history of where we are, but also to share those stories with others. And now I'm going to turn it back to Johns.
All right, thanks, Kate. So if you're looking at your screen and saying Kate and Johns are standing on not a body of water, but a patch of grass, what is this pool number 2? You're right, it is a patch of grass. It's actually an art installation that was done in 1999, but let's get to that. We'll get to that in time. So this pool was built in 1921. It was called pool number 2 because it was the second public pool in Baltimore. The first one was built in 1911, I believe, 1906, I'm sorry, in Patterson Park. And the Patterson Park pool was for white Baltimoreans only. This pool was built for black Baltimoreans only. And when it opened, it was a tremendous success. So popular that swimmers had to go in shifts. In fact, I'm going to read a quote. A gentleman named Douglas Bishop was one of the lifeguards here when the pool first opened. And he said, "If you ever saw a picture of the Ganges River during Holy Week, then you know how it looked on a 90-degree day at pool number 2. So incredibly crowded. Pool number 2 remained a segregated blacks-only pool until the 1950s, until 1956, in fact. And Baltimore City integrated its pools in 1956, but not willingly. In 1953, so 3 years before, there was a young boy, a black boy, who drowned in the Patapsco River. He was swimming with 2 white friends. They all live near Clifton Park, and the reason they were swimming in the river is because the Clifton Park pool was open to the white boys only, not the black boy. So they all went to the Patapsco River, and he unfortunately unintentionally drowned. There was an enormous outcry after that to integrate Baltimore City's pools, but the Parks Board said no. In steps the NAACP, Lily Carroll Jackson, one of our other features, and sues. They lose in the lower court, but they appeal, and they win on appeals. And so by 1956, Baltimore City has integrated all of its public pools. And that was a good thing. In 1957, this pool closes because pool number 1 that was built in Druid Hill Park for whites only was going to be the sole pool. So this pool from 1957 until 1999 sits basically just empty and abandoned. In 1999, the city contracts with a Baltimore artist named Joyce Scott to turn this into a memorial and an art installation and a memorial. And let me read to you her own words on what she was doing with this project. Ms. Scott says, "How do we make this area," this is what she asked herself, "how do we make this area useful and beautiful and harken back to the pool era?" So you'll see we are standing on grass in the middle of the pool, but you can see behind us the lifeguard chairs, the diving board structure, the ladders into the pools. It's all really powerful, really beautiful. I think she succeeded, and really a powerful memory of what this was and what it is today. Let me close by just going through, when we were looking through this, Baltimore City's pool story of segregation and then integration is kind of like a microcosm for so many other areas. And let me just read a few milestones to put pool number 2 in perspective. The first pool, Patterson Park, 1906, 1921, this pool, number 2. 1924, the city builds pool, what they call pool number 1, another pool in Druid Hill Park. Why they didn't call it pool number 3, it was the 3rd pool in Baltimore, but they called it pool number 1. That's kind of interesting. And it was twice as big as the black only pool. Pool number 1 was whites only. 1932 was a pioneering effort, Lakewood Pool at 25th and Charles. It was the first really a private pool. The likes of Milton Berle and F. Scott Fitzgerald swam there. 1941, Baltimore City began hiring its first women lifeguards, in part out of an effort to help women succeed, but maybe more in part because all the young men were finding better paying jobs in war industries. 1956 is, remember, that's the year that Baltimore integrates all of its public pools. Maybe not coincidentally, that was the year that Roland Park begins construction on the first neighborhood pool for neighbors only. And in Roland Park, that probably meant white neighbors only. In 1962, a mob of over 1,000 white Baltimoreans throws bottles and bricks at 35 black Baltimoreans swimming in the Riverside public pool, and among them, young Elijah Cummings gets cut by flying glass. 1964, a Baltimore woman was denied entrance to Meadowbrook Swim Club because she was Jewish. She pushed the city to force Meadowbrook to allow all religions in. The city solicitor said, "It's a private club, we can't do anything about it." 1971, Meadowbrook again in the spotlight for changing its policy to members only, no guests, after an African-American woman brought her son to swim in the pool along with 2 white kids who she was babysitting. And then 1999, we have this pool memorial. So I'll encourage you to take a break from whatever you're doing today and come on out, walk literally over this pool through this art installation, and think about Baltimore City's past and where we are today. I'll end with this note. Not this summer, because I don't think the pools are open, but on a normal summer, over 1/3 of the city's population takes a bath in the city's pool at any given year. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.